Edo, as we say, fuck Androbi. Welcome to No Choftes. I'm Stel. We are doing a Real Sociedad preview, and I have a gentleman right here who I've known for many, many years. He's a La Liga expert. He's got his own La Liga podcast, for fuck's sake, and he's got a lovely app, an FC quiz app. Jonas Giaever. Brother, what's going on?
All good, brother. All good, man. Yeah. Speaking about how many years we've known each other, man. Fuck, it's got to be. I'm even cursing already.
No,
it's got to be.
good.
How long is it, man? Like 10 years now, 10, 15 almost. And we go all the way back to the old OWMF, WMF forums, aren't we?
2010, brother. 12
Yeah,
years.
we got to go way back there. The old wrestling soup and all that stuff, man. I remember all that stuff.
Yeah.
Man,
You still listen to that?
I do from time to time, man. I it's been a long time since I spoke to Mish, but it's been like the guy, obviously to the people that don't know, that's the guy that we both know, I think, or at least one of the hosts of Wrestling Soup. I've known him since I must have been like 12, 13, 14, something along those lines. Man, I'm 30. I'm 30 now, man. I'm
making me feel old, bro. Fucking hell.
I had hair back then. Jesus.
Me too. Don't worry.
What happened?
We got Henning Berg vibes now, bro.
Well, you couldn't touch our beards though. That's for sure.
Nah. Fuck that. But yeah, listen. Before we talk about this game, and obviously you're La Liga, talk to us about the app that I just mentioned that you developed for your team, lads.
Yeah, well, we're developing or have developed FC Quiz, which is a quiz app, obviously, for people to test their knowledge on everything football. We have a daily quiz, which comes out obviously daily. We have weekly quizzes of La Liga, of Bundesliga, of Premier League. We're constantly developing. We have big match quizzes for the big matches at the weekends. We're introducing something new now called the Superstar Quiz, in which you can quiz about your favorite player. And we're continuously developing, continuously trying to get new stuff out there for people, new game modes and everything along those lines. Right now, you're playing against the world, but soon we hope to have head-to-heads and group challenges and everything along those lines. So hope people give it a shot, give it a chance, and obviously once it gets up and rolling, obviously there's going to be an Omonoia quiz. Of course, that has to be the end goal, isn't it?
Come on now. And so it's available on iOS. It's available on Android.
Yes, sir. Both of those, and also in desktop on fcquiz.app, which is the website. You can play on there, or you can play in the app. I mean, I kind of tend to play in the app now because I can do whenever and wherever I am. But I mean, if you prefer to do it on desktop, then that is as fine.
Lovely. Well, I'm going to put the information in the description at the end of this pod. Agosta is already pumped up. Let's go Shilaka. So we're playing Real Sociedad tomorrow away from home. This is our second group game this season. Last season we were in the Conference League, the year before in the Europa League. Didn't start well last week, losing 3-0 to Sheriff. In fact, the first minute was going to be a fucking disaster after going a goal down. I saw the press conference earlier with Neil Lennon, and he was posed a question by one of the journalists. The Sociedad head coach believes that we're going to play two systems and the club are really equipped for it. But let's talk about Sociedad. I know they lost Isaac a few weeks ago joining Newcastle, but they got David Silva. What can you tell us about this Sociedad team, mate?
Well, you're saying that they lost Alexander Isak, and they also lost his replacement, which is Umar Sadiq, because he's out with a cruciate injury. He got injured at the weekend, actually, against Getafe, which was a freak injury, obviously off-the-ball injury. Tore his cruciate ligament in one of his knees, so he's out for the season, which is a huge loss to them. I mean, they spent about 20 million euros to get him in as the replacement for Isak from Almeria. Isak obviously went for 70 million euros to Newcastle, so obviously they made a bit of money on that, but that is a huge blow to them. So they'll be hitching their wagon to my countryman, which is Alexander Sørloth, who a lot of people might remember from Trabzonspor when he played in Turkey. Was extremely impressive there. I mean, he was a house on fire when he played in Turkey. Hasn't really clicked on in RB Leipzig, but he was coming good in La Real at the end of last season. Obviously, he was then loaned back out to La Real for this season again. So that's their, I suppose, their main striker. But they've done some shrewd signings. I mean, Brais Mendes, who's come in from Celta Vigo, has been quite impressive. You mentioned David Silva there. Mikel Merino, according to the manager Alguacil, he says that Merino is the best player in La Liga, and then obviously you can take that with a grain of salt, I suppose. But still, in terms of their offensive qualities, they have. I mean, they're stacked. I mean, Takefusa Kubo plays there as well. I mean, they're an exciting team going forward. It's at the back where they've been good, but it's kind of weird because the players that they have at the back aren't necessarily players that you view as superstars. Robin Lenormand, who was one of the best center backs last season, he's injured, so he's not going to play. But I mean, they still have players that are able to do a job, and they're a decent, cohesive unit at the back. And they become sort of known for winning matches 1-0. So I mean, it's come to a point where they call it uno ceroismo, which is basically 1-0ism, which they've made into a thing now. And I believe last season, I think they were the team that won 1-0 the most in Europe. I think they beat Roma to the amount of 1-0 wins. So if they are to beat Omonoia, then I would, if I'm a betting man, I'd bet on a 1-0 win to Real Sociedad in the case that they win.
Tell us about the system that they play, mate, because we anticipate Lennon to go with a 3-4-1-2-1. That's the system that we've been playing most of the season, or 3-5-2. We got a good result home and away against Ghent in the qualifier, 2-0 victories, which surprised most of us. We didn't expect to get anything, let alone 4-0 aggregate victory. But as I mentioned, Sheriff's was a disaster. What do you anticipate from Sociedad?
They've done a lot of different systems themselves. I mean, I would anticipate them to continue to go with a sort of 4-4-2. They at times they've played a 4-2-3-1 as well. But this season, or at least against Getafe, they actually tried to play with both of their strikers, with both Sadiq and Sørloth. And obviously Sadiq went off injured and it kind of fell apart. But they have Brais Mendes, who I think is... I'm not going to compare him to Frank Lampard, but he is the same type of player in the way that he arrives late into the box. So giving him a free role, perhaps behind the striker, would be smart. I mean, we saw a little bit of that last season as well, in which Alexander Sørloth played alongside Alexander Isak, in which Isak sort of had a free role, and Sørloth was more of the main striker, if you can call it that. And I mean, it didn't result too much in a lot of goals, unfortunately. They didn't score that many goals. I believe they had like a goal difference of +2, even though they finished the season 5th or 6th. So they're the side that's not known to score many goals, but I'd expect them to come in a 4-4-2 system. They tried obviously the diamond against Getafe, so I'd expect that to be a system that they go for, even though I think they could also go for a 4-2-3-1 system, given that they have, for example, Kubo playing as one of the wingers, and giving him a free roaming role would be quite beneficial to their attack, which is still, in my opinion, quite frail.
So would you say they're more potent through the middle than they are in wide areas?
I'd say so. I'd say they are, but that is basically because most of their best players are central players, I suppose. I mean, Merino, as I mentioned, is he even though I don't necessarily agree with Alguacil saying he's the best player in La Liga, I think that his way of being a playmaker is going to cause havoc. I think he's tremendous at just keeping the ball and dancing with it. Also underrated in terms of headers and such for set pieces. David Silva is obviously going to always seek the central in midfield, and I think that Sørloth, obviously, he's a bit of a roaming striker, but at the same time, obviously, when he's in front of goal, it's always dangerous. So I think that their spine is perhaps where the strengths are, even though I also think that the signing of Muhammad Ali Cho, I absolutely love his name, Muhammad Ali Cho. It sounds like an absolute fantastic name.
Yep.
I think that, I mean, he might be the knockout here for Real Sociedad.
Oh, look at this guy. That's going with a pun, right?
I mean, he does float like a butterfly and sting like a bee at times. He does. No, but he is rapid. He is fantastic, and I think that he might be the one to come into that striker role alongside Sørloth. I don't think that he necessarily fits the profile of Alexander Isak the way he played last season, but he's been refreshing. I mean, he's one that quick movements, incredibly good at finding space. Reminds me a little bit of Daniel Sturridge at times, and I'm talking about the good Daniel Sturridge, not necessarily the one that Didn't get to play anywhere else.
Well, the Daniel Sturridge at Liverpool, not the one in Australia. Yeah.
There you go. That's the one. It reminds me a little bit of him. I'm impressed by him. He's also a new signing. So, in terms of signings and in terms of improving their side, I think that La Real has been perfect this summer. It all depends on how they get it all to blend and mesh. And I do think that the loss of Sadiq and the loss of Lenormand at the back, as well as Oyarzabal still being out injured. I mean, Oyarzabal is the star of the team. He's also out, ironically, with a cruciate injury. So they have some injury problems here.
I expect Sociedad to outplay us. I expect them to have a lot of the ball. We're going to talk about, percentage possession. I expect them to move the ball very quickly. But at the same time, I'm kind of hoping they'll be susceptible to from corners, set pieces. Have they got that kind of weakness in them?
I'd say so. I'd say so. And I mean, the I suppose the individual brilliance of some players. If I'm got to be honest, I'm not as familiar with Omonoia as I am with La Real. But if you have that one standout player that isolates defenders, that's something that they've struggled with time and time again. You saw it against Barcelona, for example. If there is one player that is able to isolate and sort of drive at them, as I said, their defense is sort of a Frankenstein's monster. I mean, it's not necessarily a lot of really, really good players, but they're a cohesive unit. And I think that if you can find that one player to isolate them and to drag them out of position, I think that's a way of beating them. And I think as well, I mean, you're talking about set pieces. As I mentioned, Lenormand is out, and he is perhaps the best set piece player that they have. He throws himself at everything. So not having him in the side is obviously going to make them a little bit more susceptible to set pieces, but then again, I'm not necessarily sure that that's where you beat them. They are a physical side, they are a rugged side, but they're also able to play some nice football.
Well, one of the gripes that I've had for the past year and a half, 2 years about this club is the lack of physicality, the lack of leadership. Back in the last season, we saw a lot of desire and fight and hunger in this team, which you kind of expect from a Neil Lennon side, especially when we went down to 10 men in derby games and ended up winning. Even the cup final, we were down to 10 men after 5 minutes and ended up winning on penalties. And as I said, we had that fighting spirit. But this season, they've been very weak, very brittle. And the other concern I've had is once we go a goal down or even concede a goal, be it having been a goal up, their heads drop. We can't do that in a game like this because we saw against Sheriff, okay, granted, it wasn't a 3-0 scoreline. They didn't pound us. They didn't batter us. They were just more physical and quicker, but we made our own mistakes. Do you get what I'm saying? You know, when you give the goals, that's what happened with us. The 3 goals that we conceded, we gave them away. But against a side that's very physical, quicker on the ball, we're going to struggle. So I'm half expecting, as I said, Sociedad to dominate possession. But at the same time, it's a Neil Lennon side, and there's always that element of all you need is one half chance, and to get that opportunity, you might get something out of it. It's more hope than anything, bro, honestly.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I mean, you're saying that it's a Neil Lennon side, but are there Neil Lennon players? I mean, do they have the players to play his style?
Well, he's brought in 3 players of his own to start out on. Well, look, I ain't gonna lie to you. If we go with the 3 central defenders that played at the weekend, we're gonna get hammered. Let's just get it right. One of them is Hector Yuste. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He played for Granada. He's 34 years old. He's not very quick, but he's experienced. I guess we've got Adam Lang. That's a Hungarian international centre back, but he's made numerous mistakes already this season. Nemanja Militic came in from Partizan Belgrade. Good defender, but again, he looks a bit nervy at times. And, as strong and physical as he is, when you have a central defender that lets the ball drop himself getting out of play, you've got to question what's going on in his head. But, going forward, our wing backs, about Lesiaks, obviously, because he played in Switzerland and you know about him very well.
I played in Norway.
Norway as well, Norway.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. He played for my team here in Oslo. So yeah, I know about him. He was decent here, but I think he's been even better since he's left. To be honest with you.
Well, 2 years ago, he got 16 assists in the league, which was quite impressive. Last
There you
season
go.
he went off the boil. This season he's been hit, miss, or maybe. So again, we're expecting more from him. But the thing is, because of that season he had that was so good, a lot of people expect that same level, and you can't carry on getting 16 assists every season as a left back. I don't think even Trent has done 16 assists every season since playing at Liverpool. So it's going to be very difficult. But at right back, we've got Adam Matthews, who came in from Charlton. He played under Lennon at Celtic, did very well against Barcelona in that famous victory. Midfield, we've got Fouad Bachirou that had a spell at Malmö. We brought in Kasama from Haas, I think, is the club he played for, if I'm not mistaken. Mixed Diskerud, as you know, Norwegian, American. He could play. We have, who do you think? I don't know, maybe Bruno Felipe might play. He was at Sheriff last season. He'll probably play as a number 10. And then we've got Karim Ansifarad, the Iranian striker. He might start. But then again, we've got a lot of youngsters. We've got Loizu. We've got Hambos, who's done really well, scored twice against Ghent. So again, we don't really know what system and what lineup he's going to play at the moment, especially given the recent form we've had. We lost at the weekend to Apollon, we lost to Sheriff, we lost to a team called Agridas, which got promoted. It's been a topsy-turvy season already, but Omonoia is like Jekyll and Hyde, bruv. Like, we might play against a team that no one gives us a chance of winning, but we'll get something out of it. And then we play against a team that, we're expected to get 3 points, and they'll soak the pitch to the point where the ball gets stuck in it, and then you lose 1-0.
Yeah, no, it sounds, what I was going to head for here is that it sounds like this is sort of the, this is sort of one of those matches that these players know that they'll be noted on certain scouts lists if they do have a nice match. And I would think that viewing the opposition here and viewing that La Real is a top Spanish side. I mean, they're a great side, and obviously they're a team that they make noise in Europe. They make noise at home in Spain. So obviously, if Omonoia make noise against them, then that is something that will be noted down. So I mean, this has to be that alongside obviously the Manchester United matches. I think is sort of, this is when Neil Lennon gives that any given Sunday speech in the dressing room, and a lot of those players. I mean, you're saying that he's a hit and miss. Well, this is the match where he's going to be a hit. I'm pretty certain of that. But it depends on if the individual quality is good enough to fend off a La Real side who, for the better part, has been quite cohesive. I mean, there's not really one big, huge star in this team. I mean, they are pretty much a solid unit. And that's, I suppose, if there's anything that you can really give Alguacil a lot of credit for, it is that this team is a lot of good players, but I would say that as a unit, they are better than the sum of just one player.
Before I'm going to ask the viewers to ask their questions, because I know some people are going to be asking questions about Sociedad, and obviously a lot of people asking already about Omonoia, which is one here, right? Stel, tell me the truth. Lennon play with the wrong system or not? Look, he's playing with the system that he feels. He's playing the system that he feels he can get the best out of these players. Okay, when we beat Ghent home and away, no one was complaining about the system. But then we lost at the weekend to Apollon, the champions, and we were a goal up until the second half, and no one was saying anything until half time. And then the second half happened, and then we conceded 2 stupid goals. One from a corner, which was a near post header. The shortest player on the pitch beat Militic at the near post. And the second goal, Zrandi, who's a very good player, came from Hajduk Split, gets the ball from 25 yards, turns Justa, who, as I said, Justa, I've seen Milk turn quicker than him, and he beats the goalkeeper from 25 yards. Now, it had to be a great strike to beat our goalkeeper, because Fabiano, our goalkeeper, was our MVP the year we won the title. He saved 2 penalties in the shootout, which won us the cup. He saved penalties in the shootout to beat Red Star Belgrade, to beat Flora. He's been one of our best players, if not our best player. He's probably the best goalkeeper to ever play in Cyprus. So to beat him from 25 yards, it's got to be a special one. So it's easy to slate Lennon for the system, but Lennon isn't the one on the pitch. Lennon was the one who said himself the players didn't play with enough aggression. We didn't have any attacking intent in the second half. So is it his fault? Is it the players' fault? I can't blame the system. Everyone was saying 3-5-2, 3-4-2-1, and you got your system, and the results ain't been great. So it is what it is. It is what it is, man. But if guys, if you got questions about Sociedad, that's ask Jonas. That's why he's here, man. Come on, here, look, here's one here from Mario. He's a Man City fan, believe it or not. So don't hold that against him. Do you think they'll start with their proper starting 11? Who do they play at the weekend? So do you think they'll play a weekend team or?
No, I think that they'll play their best team. I think that they view. I don't remember who they have at the weekend. I should have checked that. But they're going to play their best side because they view European competition as one of the more important things. I mean, they have a home match as well, I believe, at the weekend. So because they were away now at Getafe, so I think that they view it as probably more important to advance from this group. And I think that they view Omonoia as the second or as their biggest challenger in terms of advancing, because I think everyone expects Manchester United to go through, even though obviously La Real beat them at Old Trafford. I still think that United are going to win the group, and then it's going to be a dogfight between Omonoia and La Real. And obviously La Real, if they beat Omonoia, they're 6 points up, and obviously they have the best sort of start to the group phase. But yeah, as I said, I don't. It could be that they change a little bit, considering that they lost at the weekend. But then again, they lost their best player, or at least their star signing of the summer. They lost him rather early in that match, which I think might have affected the players.
Another question here: what's their weaknesses or weakness, if they have any?
I mean, the thing is, once they concede one, they're set to concede several. I mean, they, as I said, they are a very cohesive unit, but once you kind of find the chinks in their armor, it all falls apart. It seems to fall apart rather often for them as well when it does. I mean, as I said, their goal difference wasn't very good last season. And a lot of it was that, okay, when they won their matches, they won 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0 all the time. But once they lost, it was 1-5, 1-4, 2-5. I mean, once they concede, they seemingly concede a lot of goals. And I still think that their goalkeeper is a little bit suspect. I'm not the biggest fan of Alex Remiro, which is their goalkeeper. I mean, they had Matt Ryan as well, but he's obviously moved on.
Yeah, he went to Copenhagen, didn't he? Was it Copenhagen?
Yes, he did. Yeah, he went to Copenhagen.
Mikkel Beck's his agent, I think. I think Mikkel Beck's his agent, if I'm not mistaken.
That might be it. Yeah, Mikkel Beck is a nice gentleman. I've spoken to him on a couple of occasions. Really, really nice guy. But yeah, no, I would say that once they concede several, and it's all down to finding their kinks in their armor. And obviously, once they start doubting themselves, they really don't have that leader in defense that kind of rallies the troops and gets them going. So I mean, if Omonoia shocks them, I'd be surprised if they. I mean, eventually they might get back into it, but it would not be typical of La Real to sort of turn the game around, I'd say.
What would you make of their centre midfield? Because I mentioned two of our players, Bashiru and Kasama. Bashiru he reminds me a lot of, and this is going to be fucking people saying, "Oh my god," but he reminds me a lot about N'Golo Kante in the way that he gets about the middle of the park, he wins the ball back, and he's got that tenacity, and he's small. And then you've got Kasama, that is a very creative player. He's only played, has he played 90 minutes for us? I don't think he has. He got sent off on his debut for 2 yellow cards, which in the UK would have been just a ticking off. But in Cyprus, different rules, whatever. But he's a very creative player, very industrious, likes to get the ball forward, always looks for that ball over the top of the reverse pass. He's, like I said, very good on the ball. Can you see Sociedad trying to, I don't know, maybe strangle us in the center of the park and just keep the ball narrow or get the ball out wide? I'm not sure how they play, honestly.
They're probably going to try and get the ball out wide and then move it central again. That's how they usually play. And you're talking about Omonio's central midfield being good. I mean, Martin Subimendi and Mikel Merino is, I mean, they're a class apart. I mean, Subimendi is, a lot of people are comparing him to Xabi Alonso, which tells you all that you need to know about that. I mean, they come from the same system, so obviously the comparison is easy to make. And then Mikel Merino he's probably going to make the Spanish World Cup squad at least, and he might even start a couple of the matches in Qatar. So I think that they have a midfield and a central midfield that's just. I mean, they outplayed Manchester United at times. So, I mean, I don't think that that's necessarily going to be where Omonoia should attack them. I think they should more so try and force their fullbacks into one-on-one situations, and considering the fact that Omonia play with wing backs, I think perhaps trying to double up on the fullback and try and get the ball into the box and see if they can force, perhaps an error from Alex Demiro or one of the defenders. Obviously is going. They have flaws in them at all times, so I think that trying to get the ball into the mixer, as they say in the UK, and try and scramble around, I think would be one way of beating them, if not for individual brilliance.
Do you think we can get them with balls over the top on the counter?
Depends on how fast your attacker is. But yeah, I mean, you could, but then again, if it was Lenormand, I'd say no chance. But now, considering that he's out injured, I'd think that I believe I'm not quite sure who they'll play. I mean, Adic is probably going to play. Yeah, I think that it's easier now than perhaps before, but I'm not sure, man. I think counterattacking them would probably be the way, and I think that's what you have to hope for, because I think that Lareal is going to have a lot of control on ball. But then again, if you're playing a five at the back, or three central defenders and two wide backs, I think that, or two wing backs rather, I think that counterattacking is, at least the counter will be there for them, and it depends on if they're able to utilize that. And obviously they need to get. That's the thing. Once Lareal lose the ball, they'll be eager to win it back straight away. They are of the Spanish school in that way. You lose the ball and everyone kind of swarms the player on ball and tries to get him to concede it again. So to make that first pass out of the first line of defense will obviously open up the park for them. So I think that's going to be one way of beating them. If they're able to sort of base their attacks, Lareal are going to fall deep, and they're trying to narrow the spaces between the defenders as much as possible. So it's a side that's very good at both the high press and also sitting deep. So when you're talking about flaws and where can you beat them, there really isn't that many chances to beat them unless you get that first goal and they become sort of a little bit desperate to get the equalizer, in which they open up space more. So it's a team that has a plan A. They remind me a little bit of, for those who remember that, for the Arsenal side under Unai Emery. I mean, they were quite good at defending. They were good at defending, and they had the narrow spaces, and they were very well organized, both offensively and defensively. But once they fell apart, they really fell apart. So that's sort of a little bit how I'd view this Lareal side. But they have more individual brilliance than they had last season.
Apparently, you need the Omonia jersey for your water brightening out. We'll sort that out for you. Don't worry about it, mate.
I was going to say, because I have this one. That's the Lareal shirt. And then obviously, considering I'm from Norway, I had to have the Norway shirt. But I was like, damn, I should have had an Omonia shirt here, but I don't.
We'll send you a No Choftes shirt, man. We'll get you one of our ones made up. Man. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'll hang that on my wall proudly.
There's a question about the pace of the players, which you've obviously mentioned. Do you think that they will underestimate Omonia? Because Ghent did that.
No, I don't think so. I mean, Spanish sides it's one of the things that they just don't do that anymore. They used to be very arrogant once they travel there. And you got to remember that Lareal is not a side that necessarily is that used to playing in Europe. So being in Europe for them is still an occasion. It's still an event. It's not like something that they base their season around. I mean, they think it's a big thing for them to be out there in Europe and playing. I mean, you got to remember that historically, Lareal is the lesser side in the Basque Country. It's always been Athletic who's been the big side. So that they're out and about in Europe, and that they're obviously having their adventures out there is big for them. And as I said, I think that if they view this as a chance to sort of kill the group for sides like Omonia and like Sheriff, in terms of trying to get that second spot and advance to the next round, I think that it's incredibly important for Lareal to advance to the next stage of the competition. And I think that they view Manchester United as the side that will win the group. But I think that they view themselves as the team that should finish second, and clearly so. But I also think that they view, I would expect them to view Omonia, based upon what they've already done in Europe, to be one of those sides that could obviously steal that spot from them. I think that Sheriff, even though they were in the Champions League last season, yeah, they beat Real Madrid, but it was a lucky strike that Thiel will never ever do again, even if he tries 500 times. So it's just,
they've got a brand new squad, mate. They've got a brand
They
new
do.
squad, 15, 16 new players. And as I said, they beat us, but I wasn't even really impressed by them. They've got mistakes in them left, right, and centre. Their two central defenders are absolutely dreadful, mate, honestly. And they're a team where if you press them, they panic and they hit the ball long. That's what they are. And we couldn't stop them because we didn't press them enough.
No, exactly. But that's. I mean, I'm not surprised by that in a way, because that's the side like that has to do that in European competition, and I think that European competition, it just becomes so cynical in a way. And I think that Omonoia or I suppose Sheriff at least, they view, if they don't advance to the next round of Europa League, I think that they view Conference League as a real ambition for them. I mean, I think that they would like to play in the Conference League and obviously do well, because they are a side that, based upon the league that they play in, they view themselves as favorites to win that league every single season. So I think for them, being out there in Europe is going to be incredibly important for them. And that's why they'd rather try and be as cynical and as bastardly as possible. And I think that Omonia needs to kind of, I'm not saying that they should adopt that, but they could learn a thing or two from sides like that. But I think that, considering that they'll play against the side that, I'm trying to think. I mean, I would think Aritz Lustondo is going to play in defense, and I would think that next to him is going to be John Pacheco, who's obviously come into the side. And yeah, they have the chance to they could bully them a little bit more so than with Robin Lenormand. But as you said at the top of the program, I don't think that. Well, you don't think that they have the players to do so. So I don't know. I don't necessarily see the way that they're going to pick apart this La Real side, who has a lot of talent in them, despite the fact that they haven't really showed it that much this season so far.
Well, the only hope I have is that Lennon has taken them to one side and had a right go at them, because I watched the press conference after the game on Sunday, and he said there was no leadership, there was no physicality, there was nothing out there. And then a journalist questioned him on the character of the players. He goes, "Don't you dare talk about my players. Who do you think you are? This and that. I'll sort them out." And from what I've heard, a lot of the players are quite, I wouldn't say they're quite down, but there's a lot of confusion as to what's going on at the moment. And I think that stems from right at the top. We've got a lot of, I wouldn't say issues, but there's a lot of talk about how the president runs the club and how the vice president is actually doing everything, from bringing in players and negotiating, and he's a difficult person to work with. People have left the club because of him. There's a lot going on. Plus, we had an issue this time last year, someone set off a bomb outside the vice president's house. We still don't know who did it. And again, he's not a very well-liked guy, but at the same time, this is football. I don't know many clubs who like the people that run it. Anyway, I digress. There's a question here. There's a comment here. Gaguli in Bezos out. Now, we signed a player called Bezos from Ghent in the summer, Ukrainian international. He's out with 10. Jeff Bezos, yeah, we need his money, 18 million euro debt. Yeah, we need his money. But Roman Bezos he's got tendonitis, and Gaguli is a forward. He came from the academy. He's 21 years old. We've missed him the past few games. I think he had a hamstring injury. But the thing is, he's come under immense criticism from a lot of fans because he doesn't score enough. But he's one of those players, bro, whereby he's very pacey. He presses. He chases down lost causes. He drags defenders out of positions with his run. And I even said to him myself, your off-the-ball work has improved so much in the last 2 years. But people don't see that. They just see he doesn't score enough goals. But they don't see what he does off the ball that helps us score goals. Now, if he plays, which I'll be shocked if he does, because after coming back from 2 weeks out with a hammy, I'd be a little bit concerned if he starts. But if he gets 20 minutes, half an hour with a game at 0-0, I think he'll cause a bit of problem. So let's see.
Would be the type of player to I think that would be the type of player to at least cause a little bit of havoc for La Real. But again, do you take the chance of not starting a player like that and hope that you're still at 0-0 when you reach, the 60 or the hour mark, 70 minutes? I'm not sure. I think I'd start a player like that and have him run. I mean, just run. Just look, whenever they try to play out from the back, run. Just get at it. Force them into mistakes. Make them Make the goalkeeper obviously kick to throw in. I mean, it's that's what I do if I was Neil Lennon in terms of trying to upset one of those teams that are viewed as major favorites. Just have one of those players run, press as much as you can, and obviously pick up the loose ball, fend for the second ball, chase down the lost causes as you pointed out as well. I mean, doing all those things is what eventually at least will drag one of these teams out of structure. And I think that for a side, as I mentioned earlier, for a side like La Real, that's not something that they like. I mean, they don't like being taken out of structure. They don't like being taken out of their comfort zone. So I think that's, I mean, without knowing more of him than what you've just told me, I think that's one of those types of players that would be beneficial in a match like this, especially against the side that they are viewed as the underdogs going in.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for your information on this club, mate, and your input. Really appreciate it. You know, we had a Belgian journalist on before the first leg against Ghent, and we were like, we're going to get absolutely fucking pammed. Absolutely fucking pammed. And we got a win. We got a win at home, and I thought, it's not done because 2-0 going into the second leg. It's still half time, and then we won that 2-0. So, look, anything can happen in European football. Personally, as I said, I'm not confident going into this one. We're clearly the underdogs, but at the same time, I like being the underdog rather than the favourite because the players will be more relaxed. There isn't that much expectancy. And at the weekend, we're playing a team that has got recently promoted. So again, the pressure switches. You know, so again, it's going to be a difficult game. We know we've got Man United on the horizon, 2 games in a row. But the final question I've got for you, bro, obviously you're a United fan. United's my team. When you saw Omonoia United, I bet you thought, I wish Henningberg was still at Omonoia. That would have been poetic, wouldn't it?
No, the first thing I thought was, I got to talk to Stel. That was the first thing I thought. Honestly, that was the first thing I thought. No, it's the truth. I was like, oh, it's Stel's team. I got to talk to Stel. That's the first thing I thought. So I'm on it. I got to be honest, because I was in the office because I was following the. Obviously, we have a few Norwegian teams that's playing in the tournament as well, or at least we have Bodø Glimt that plays in the tournament. So, and I was looking at it. I was like, I mean, they're not going to be drawn together, are they? So I was like, who could I view as possible as something that would be fun for Stel to meet? And it's like, if Stel get Manchester United, that would be nice for him. And then you got him, and I was like,
I almost crashed my car. I almost crashed my car. I had the draw on my phone. Okay, I shouldn't have had it, but I had it connected to the Bluetooth or whatever. And when he said Omonoia, it goes Omonoia. I was like, what the? Hand back on the wheel, fucking hell.
Are you going then? Jeez. Are you going to the match then?
I'm going to Old Trafford. The game in Cyprus is going to be very difficult for me. Flights are the prices are astronomical to go to Cyprus, and also getting a ticket for the game might be a little bit tricky because you're going to have fans that are season ticket holders. So we've got like 9,000 season ticket holders close to, which is a new record. It's a new record. So they get priority. I think there's going to be about 16,000 tickets available. So you've got the season ticket holders, then you've got the corporates, then you've got the away fans, and we might even have one of the stands shut because a linesman got hit with a cup of water last week against Sheriff. So yeah, but I don't know if but no one said anything. Nothing's come out. So perhaps it wasn't a high profile game, so they didn't bother doing anything. And maybe our fans have been behaving themselves in the past few years, so they're going to let it go. I don't know. So you just never know. So it's going to be difficult, but I've got my ticket for the Old Trafford game, so I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I'm being honest. I was like, when I saw it, I was like, "Damn, that's Stel's team. He's going to be enjoying." Because I know that you're a Man United fan. That's your team, anyways. But I was like, "Oh, that's going to be a." I mean, I was saying it's not going to be difficult for you because I know which team you're rooting for. But at the same time, I know that you have affinity for both these teams. So I was like, "Yeah, it's going to be a little bit torn emotionally between the two. But obviously, it's going to be all Omonoia. But it's going to be a fun one for him."
Absolutely. And I've had Rodri Giggs gunning me for God knows how long because last season he was like, oh, you lot didn't win the league. And then when I went to the cup final in Cyprus, and when we won it, he was the first person I called, got him on the fucking WhatsApp call, on the video. And he's been gunning me since. So now it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna batter you, we're gonna do this. I'm like, all right, calm yourself, Rodders. Yeah, leave it out of Boyle.
It's got to be, but it's got to. I mean, it's got to be like a proper rollicking then. If he's going to be able to talk to you like that again. I mean, if they win 1-0 at Old Trafford, what's that going to do? You know, it has to be. You know, has to be a proper smashing then.
That's it. They've got to smash us for him to get some kind of credibility. But I'm not having it until then, man. I'm not having it. Certainly. But yeah, bro, thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. Before I let you go, do you want to plug any socials, Twitter, Instagram, etc., etc.?
No, I mean I am who I am on Twitter. That's Giaever. That's Chegiaevara. But more so than that, check out the FC Quiz app. I mean, I know that Stella's going to put the link in the description for you guys watching. If you want to follow FC Quiz on Twitter, it's FC Quiz app. That's the name of the app, I suppose, the user on Twitter. Download the app, you know, what's it called? App Store, Google Play. Go to fcquiz.app and play the game. And I'll be happy.
Superb. Absolutely brilliant. Again, thank you, brother, for joining me. So, boys and girls, thank you very much. It's going to be a difficult game. We know this, but we go in this as the underdog. Again, because this is what happens with us in European competition. No one gives us a hope in hell. Sometimes we don't, but you never know what could happen. So we'll be live tomorrow after the game, I believe. I'm not going to be able to do it, but Roy and Chris are going to do it. So fingers crossed it'll be a bit in English as well. So some people, because we had a few people commenting after the last pod against Apollon saying, I don't understand anything because the boys were going off so angry with the result. It was all in Greek. I'm like, I need to jump on for at least 30 seconds to say the season's done already. Fuck it. So until next time, as I said, boys and girls, fuck Androbi. Let's go.